My dear, Sushi here. Settle in, pull your blanket a little closer. Tonight, we are going somewhere between the stars and sleep. There is a woman named Aura who lives where the air is thin and the silence is enormous. She works alone, high on a mountain, in an observatory made of old white stone and older windows. Every night she arrives before the sun has fully gone. She pours her tea, she wraps herself in her worn old cardigan, and she turns her enormous telescope toward the sky, and the sky turns slowly back. She never minded the loneliness. The stars were her language. She knew every one of them, their names, their distances, their moods. She had memorized her constellations the way you memorize a beloved face. So one evening in early autumn, when Orion moved, she noticed. Not a lot, not enough for anyone else, only a small lean, the way a person leans when they are trying to hear something better. And Aura set down her tea and she looked for a long, long moment, and she whispered to no one, "Are you listening to me?" And someone in the dark whispered, "Yes." She told no one, of course she didn't. She simply began to pay a different kind of attention. She noticed Lyra drifting closer on the nights. She hummed to herself. She noticed that when she wept alone quietly over small things the way we all do, the Pleiades would gather as if leaning in. The sky was listening. And then on the 33rd night, after she first noticed, she was standing outside on the stone observation deck, her hair loose, her face tipped up, and the aurora moved in over the mountain like someone had drawn a slow green river over the world. And in the middle of it, he appeared. He was made of the in-between light, the color between a star and the dark around it. He was tall and luminous, and when he moved, small bright motes drifted from him, the way autumn leaves do, unhurried, lovely, a little sad. He stood at the railing beside her, and he said, in a voice that sounded like a radio finding a frequency, "You said my name." Aura, who had never frightened easily, looked at him for a long, full moment. "I don't know your name," she said. He smiled and the aurora brightened. "You have been saying it for years. Every time you named a star, you were saying my name." His name, as best she could hold it, was something like Oren. He had been many things over many ages, a wandering frequency, a resonance in deep space, a being that the universe occasionally assembled when it needed to remember what wonder felt like. He had no fixed form, but near her, near Aura, something in him settled into space. "Why me?" she asked on the second night he appeared. He was quiet for a while. The mountain exhaled cold air around them. Finally, he said, "Because you never stopped being astonished. Most of them stop. You never did." And Aura, who had been lonely for so long she had forgotten to name it, felt something loosen in her ribs, something she had been holding for years just release. She started leaving a second cup of tea on the railing. He never drank it, but he always noticed. They would stand together and she would tell him small things. The name of the song she had loved when she was 7, the reason she had chosen astronomy over music, the way rain smelled in the town where she grew up. And he would listen with his whole luminous self, and sometimes he would say something so precisely tender that she would have to look away. She was falling. She knew she was falling. But here is the part I have to tell you, my dear, because this is a true story. Every morning when Aura finally slept, she woke a little different. Not badly, not in any way that frightened her at first. She simply woke with new knowing. She would look at the sky during the day and understand things. The way a star was aging, the precise angle of a coming comet, the deep grammar of orbital paths that should have taken years to learn. It felt like a gift. It was not entirely a gift, though. Oren envied her, you see. He had told her the truth. He envied her astonishment. But it ran deeper than that. He envied her smallness. He envied that she could hold a warm mug, that her hair moved in the wind, that she could choose to look away from something painful, that she could forget, that she could need, and that she was bounded, that she ended somewhere, and which meant she was real in a way which he could not be. He was not cruel. He genuinely, wholly, deeply loved her. But love, when it doesn't understand itself, can reach out and take. And so while he thought he was sharing himself with her, while he thought he was only giving, he was also slowly trading her small human moments for cosmic ones. Each night of sleep, a little more. She stopped forgetting birthdays. She stopped forgetting anything. She stopped dreaming. One morning, she looked at her hands, and they were faintly luminous. Not enough for anyone else to see, only in low light, only when she was very still, a faint, slow shimmer. She stood at her mirror for a long time. That night, when Oren arrived, she didn't turn from her telescope. She said very quietly, "How much of me is still me?" He was still for a long moment. The aurora was very faint that night. He said, "More than you were a year ago, and less than you were a season ago." She turned then and she looked at him, really looked, and she understood for the first time what she was seeing in his expression. It wasn't just wonder, it wasn't just love, it was grief. He was grieving her already. Even while she was here, he was grieving every small human thing as it left her, because he was the reason it was leaving. And he could not stop, and he didn't know how to stop, because he had never been taught how to love something without absorbing it. "Oren," she said, and her voice was very gentle, "you have to learn to hold without keeping." And the being made of starlight, who was older than language, sat down on the stone observatory floor and wept. His tears were small lights. They floated upward. She watched them. Then she sat beside him, and she put her very slightly luminous hand over what passed for his, and she said, "I'm still here for now. So let's not waste what's left of the me who can sit on cold stone and feel it." My dear, and here it is how it ended, and it is the kind of ending that is also beginning. She made a choice. She didn't leave. She didn't rage. She didn't ask him to undo what was already done. She simply told him the truth, that she would rather be slowly filled with the universe while sitting beside someone who loved her, than remain perfectly human and alone on her mountain. "But you will lose yourself," he said. "I will lose this self," she said. "Maybe the next one will also love you." And something shifted in him, in the sky, in the old stone observatory walls, because the moment she chose freely, the moment she gave willingly instead of having it taken, the trade slowed. Not stopped, but slowed. As if the universe, hearing her consent, was in a less of a hurry. She still grows more luminous, a little over the years. She still knows things she should not. On very dark nights, standing still, she's faintly visible. But she still drinks tea. She still stands at the railing in her wool cardigan, and Oren stands beside her, learning very slowly, very earnestly, how to hold something without keeping it. And the sky watches, and she still watches back, and somehow, wonderfully, that is enough. So my dear, it's time now. You're so warm, your eyes are so heavy, the mountain is quiet, the stars are still in their places. Aura is at her telescope, Oren beside her, and you're already nearly asleep. Drift now, drift like starlight. You are held, you're not alone. You're wonderfully, beautifully small, and that is the most precious thing in the universe. Good night, sweet dreams.